Well, let's
Really,
keep going then. And
this
this is the
just whoever
okay.
talks. But
Nice. Now it's 7:05 p.m. I'd like to bring this meeting to order. This is the May 4th, 2026 meeting of the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency for the town of Woodstock. Uh, as I said, 7:05 p.m. My name's Bill Rowinski, and we'll start with a roll call.
Stuart Peasley,
Kathleen Barrett,
Grace Luddy.
Okay, and then Marla is somewhere trying to get to log in. And we have no alternate, and we do not need to appoint an alternate at this time because we have a quorum. Action on the minutes of the previous meeting, April 6th, 2026.
I didn't see anything, Bill. I had one comment that might be worth of noting was that when we talked about the bridge over, is that Peaks Brook?
Butts Road.
Butts Road, on Butts Road, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it's interesting to note that the structure is precast concrete. And why that's interesting is that if it were cast in place, it would bring a whole new level of work and disturbance to the area.
Yes, and that is mentioned in the project materials that it would require some deep footings, and that's what they ran into on the Peak Brook Road, but they were not allowed to do the four-sided culvert then.
So I think it's a good innovation.
Okay, and I see Marla Butts there at 7:07 p.m.
Yep, I'm here. Sorry about that. I had to restart my computer. I don't know what was going on. I was waiting for the meeting to start, and it just never started at my end. So, How far have you gone so far, so I can catch up?
We're just reviewing the minutes.
Okay.
Nobody has brought anything forward as to changes or corrections that we need to make.
Yeah, I would like to point out on page 3 of 4.
Yep.
This is an application that is pending before us. This was the one for 55 Crooked Trail. It was originally assigned an application number of 102503. And then during the proceeding, it was decided that that was the wrong number, that it needed a new application number. So the motion states, motion to accept application 06-26-01 for review at next meeting. And so now, and they were supposed to add photographs and talk about the stuff. So now we have a new application on the agenda that has a different number than this. And there's a different 04-26-01. So I'm a little confused about the numbering system because I thought we had agreed that the number for this application would be the first one in April. And now it seems to be the fourth one in April. So there's no problem with the minutes because that's what was said during the meeting, last meeting. But when we get to that application, pending applications, it says 4-26 -04 in the agenda, and the application number, but there is now another application assigned to that number. So it's a little confusing because usually pending applications have older numbers than new applications. So maybe John can explain that when we get to that. But I'm a little confused, but I have no corrections on the minutes.
Okay, I did read through them, but not a second or third time in detail, so my time was short this weekend. Nobody else has anything else to correct on them, then I'd entertain a motion to accept them as presented.
I'll make a motion to accept the meetings from meeting minutes from the previous month, is that April 6th?
Yeah.
Second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? So the motion passes. Okay, at this point, we're going to ask for citizens' comments. If there's anyone online with us now that has some comments on something that is not on the agenda for this evening and something that is brief in nature that we can just discuss briefly at this moment, now's the time to talk. Okay, not hearing anyone coming forward. We'll move on to pending applications. So now we have 0426-04, the 55 Crooked Trail. So is there discussion on this application number?
Yeah, so I noted that the new application, that they filed another application that has a newer date. You can see the date is 4/27/26, but we were working off of the original application form and just letting him amend that. So apparently they felt that they needed to submit a whole new application, get a new receipt date. And that kind of messes up the timelines because the work in the water, unless this is authorized as a use permitted as of right, maintenance and enjoyment of residential home, we're not supposed to act on new applications for 30 days, for at least 30 days or 35 days, to whichever. If we don't have a meeting, it's 35 days. If we do have a meeting, we can't do it on the same night or in the same month that it's received. So, John, how do you want to handle this?
I'd like to proceed.
In what way?
I would like to,
As a regulated activity or
Yes.
as a use permitted as of right, maintenance and enjoyment of residential home?
well, there is some work in the water, and that's mostly bringing rocks in from, some minor distance from the shore to the shore itself. I wouldn't consider that terribly disruptive, but it is work in the water itself.
Correct.
So the first issue is, what do you want to do about the application number? Do you want to just leave it as it is, or?
Well, and obviously I'm interpreting it different than Marla had intended it, but I thought the issue last time was that you guys did no longer consider this sort of the completion of the prior application and instead requested a request for modify permit. So we had them fill that out. The reason it has this number is because by the time they filled out the new application, we had received a few other applications that jumped ahead of it. The activity was presented and discussed at last month's meeting, in my mind, sufficient to, start the clock of consideration, regardless of what the actual, number on top of the application. They clearly had presented something to the commission at last month's meeting. And so if it were up to me, which it is clearly not, I would proceed.
So, Bill, what I would then suggest is that the original application form with the receipt date that was back before our last meeting, that be used as the application form cover sheet that has an older date, and that clearly has a receipt date that was older than April 27th, which this one has receipt dates of April 27th. So if we continue with this receipt date and this form as the primary form, then we get messed up with the timelines. So I'm going to suggest that the form that was submitted for last month's meeting as a modification of the original permit or the original approval, which was a use permitted as of right, then I think that we can provide in this file the original one that was submitted back before last month's meeting and use that as the receipt date, but keep the same application number with the understanding that it was received last month before our meeting. If I could call it up, I think I have the old one here, what the receipt date was.
I can bring it up from the previous meeting.
Okay. Where's 55 Crooked Trail? There it is. So that one didn't have a stamped receipt date, but Peter Flaherty had signed off on April 2nd. On that application form. So that's the one I would want to take as the form for this application files due to the receipt dates. Because this is actually an activity, an application to conduct a regulated activity. It's not a modification. There is a form for modifying permits, and this is not the form that's used. I believe if you go to the website for the Wetlands Agency, there is a form for permit modification.
That's what we
Well-
have in front of us tonight.
Yeah,
I'm
the new one
confused.
is actually, the new, tonight's documentation.
For your
To request to modify.
for your request at the last meeting, they have filled out the new form, which is here.
Oh, God. All right, we need to have a discussion down the road as to what constitutes modifying a permit and whether or not it increases the scope of the original approval, because they didn't get a permit before. They got a use permitted as of right, which is not a permit. So let's just move forward that this is an application for an approval. Do we have the correspondence from the Lake Association on these current documents from the 27th? Is there is it in there?
There's something there.
Yeah, it's
There's a
right
whole-
here. It's on the screen right now.
Okay. So they're aware of the proposed dock, which was new this time, correct?
It certainly seems by the language
Yeah.
of the email.
Okay.
Yeah,
who
if you
did-
go further down, it does mention that.
Okay. So Phyllis Banu, who is she?
Geez, I think one of the,
Yeah, she is. I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Pete Flaherty. She is part of the Witches Lake Association as part of the, she's part of the board there. And John Barber gave his, she handed this off to John Barber, who apparently then is, they have different responsibilities. John Barber had the final write-off as far as saying, as long as the town, as long as the water, you guys are all set, they're all set.
Okay, so where is that in that document? In that email thread, something from John Barber? Like
Right here. The Lake
right there.
Association.
Okay.
That's all he cares about is no more than 30 feet from the shore.
That's for the dock. Yeah.
That's the dock.
And he doesn't have any it obviously doesn't have any problem with the stones and the fact that you're not taking a machine out and grabbing the stones, you're just manually moving them. So they wouldn't have a problem that way in any case.
No, they
Yeah.
would not. And in the last meeting, we presented a potential situation that we were going to be using machinery to pull rocks out. That is not the case.
Yeah.
After
That's what-
further evaluation, very minimal. We're not. If there's rocks to be moved, it's just a handful. So we overestimated that initially, as sometimes folks do. So
Okay.
so we do have a picture with some details on it and a narrative that goes with it further down.
I thought this write-up was pretty good. I compliment you on your write-up. It was easy to understand.
Took us some time to get there, but
thank you. My wife Patricia was very. We had a lot of back and forth. So thank you, Marla.
Did a good job.
you
Thank
guys
you.
helped us too, so thank you for the input you gave us the last time.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with what I've read. So I think this is an approvable modification. Although I don't think the last one was a permit. That's why I can't modify a use permitted as of right. Which is what was issued last time. Isn't that correct, John? what was issued in
Uh,
October was.
I believe that was, yes, I believe that was
Yeah.
how that was permitted,
Yes. No, you mean a use permitted as of right, meaning allowed as of right.
which is allowed.
It's allowed. Okay. So the question is do we want to allow this, even though it's a modification, says modification of permit? Should we consider it to be allowed as a use permitted as of right, maintenance and enjoyment of residential home? Does anybody have any opinion on that? I think that's the way to go, since the original approval was a use permitted as of right, maintenance and enjoyment of residential home. And we're having problems with the timelines and stuff by calling this a permit. That this could be a modification of the use permitted as of right, maintenance and enjoyment of a residential home.
You've done it both ways, this Bill Rowinski, because we've done it by permit, and we typically want to do it by permit for
Correct.
the activity in the water. But for Roseland Lake,
Mhm.
Philip Riley
Mhm.
was the contractor,
Mhm.
and we allowed that. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way to draw down that lake anyway, so we did allow it that time. So
Well, the law does allow for work in wetlands and water courses without an actual permit, as long as it's maintenance and enjoyment of a residential home. So that doesn't alter that we find is acceptable. And I don't have a problem with the proposal that was written now. So I don't know how anybody else feels about authorizing it as a modification of the original approval of maintenance and enjoyment of a residential home as a use permitted as of right.
Well, it makes sense to me, Marla. I don't have, a lot of, to use all the right words, but it seems like that would make the most sense. Rather than keep going around with different words and all that.
Right.
yeah, Bill Rowinski, I'm okay with doing that. I just don't want to make a habit of making activity in the water course as a
Mhm.
maintenance and enjoyment.
Well, then I will, we might as well keep this application number. So I'll make a motion to approve. How do I want to say this? John, could you pull up the screen again, the top of it? Okay. So I would move that application 04-26-04, previously identified in the April 6, 2026 minutes of the agency as application 04-2601, be approved as a modification to the use permitted as of right for maintenance and enjoyment of a residential home that was originally authorized by the commission in, looking for the number, October would be 010 dash, someone help me here.
It's on there
I'm looking at the
somewhere.
It's on the previous.
010-25-03.
Okay, thank you.
That it be approved as a use permitted as of right under maintenance and enjoyment of a residential home, as shown in the application documents that were submitted and stamped received April 7th, 2026.
27th.
April 27th, 2026.
I second
Anyone
that
will
motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Marla Butts, seconded by Kathleen Barrick to approve the
Oh, yeah.
request.
Reading this stuff on.
So I don't, we'll have to go back to the tape, the recording to get Marla's exact words. Is there any further discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? So,
Grace, you're muted.
Aye, sorry about that. Okay.
Okay. Stuart, you,
I,
okay. All right, so the motion passes.
Thank you,
Thank you,
committee.
everyone.
I appreciate your time very much. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to new applications. Application 0426-01 Brickyard Road. Map 5707, Lot 02, Lot 68C, for Jason Martin's new single-family residence with wetlands crossing for driveway. Is there someone presenting for this evening?
Yes, there is. I'm Janet Blanchett from J&D Site Designs. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yep.
I'm here with the owner, Jason Martin, to go over his proposed application on Brickyard Road. I see.
Janet, I'm
John
sorry.
is,
Tell me if there's some sheet you want to go to.
I guess
to help.
just the first sheet one, please. Well, actually, it would be in the plan set, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Not page one of the PDF set, but the.
I'm sorry, I don't.
Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, I don't know if we have the whole. I don't think we have the full size plan set. I think we were looking for it electronically. Do you have the plan set electronically, Janet?
Yes, I do.
All right, I'll let you share your screen.
Okay, let's see if I can do it.
Janet, I thought you retired.
Mostly, but I started this project for Jason a little while back, so Daniel has enough meetings. Let's see.
She's just tired like the rest of us.
Yep.
So actually, Janet,
Okay.
there's work in wetlands, so we're just accepting the application tonight?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. Okay, I have it up now. Let me just find the. Can you guys see it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, where is the? Need to make it smaller. All right, who knows where I make it smaller?
Try page view. Do you have a page view?
It looks like
There
the button's in the lower right corner of your screen, Janet.
Lower right.
that bar, sliding bar in the lower right.
You see it down there where it says 100% in the lower right-hand corner?
I don't see it. Let me.
Way down
It's
at
on,
menu
it's
bar.
on the menu bar.
It's the menu bar. It's below that. It's got a slide to change the zoom.
Where do I have to go?
Lower right-hand corner of your screen that you're sharing. Keep going. There you go. There. You just went by it.
Further down, yeah.
Okay, yeah, actually, I don't see it on mine.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't have
We
that.
see it on ours.
Wow, that's crazy.
You might have full
Oh, wait.
screen your the software that you're in. That square box next to the X in the upper right.
The next to login.
Yes.
Yeah. Look at
And
that.
then it might be visible on your screen now, Janet, after you do that.
Oh, yes, it is. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, now let's see. Okay, now I think we're in business.
Mhm.
Let me just go back a sheet. Okay, I think we're in business now. Thank you all for your assistance. So this is a 30, almost a 33 acre parcel on Brickyard Road. Jason would like to build a single family home with in this location, and you can see that the driveway is about 900 feet long. down a little bit. Also, as part of the application, he'd like to build a pole barn. And, he's been on this property for quite a while and knows it very well. So he, had really specific ideas of where he would like to see his home built. And the wetlands are kind of running my hand along, and there's bands of wetlands that run north and south on the property. There's an existing cart path crossing kind of near Brickyard Road, but to minimize wetland impacts, we kind of tried to swing south of that. There's only a very small drainage area to that culvert, so I just have a proposed 10-inch culvert, and it actually flows from south to north. And as the driveway goes along in this vicinity here, there's, I guess, what I would characterize as an intermittent water course, because it does dry up in the summer and it flows from north to south. And we really, highly went in there and detailed surveyed that area to find the most minimal narrow part to cross. And Jason would like to build a very small timber bridge in that area. It would only have a 4-foot span. I mean, the width would be about 15 feet to accommodate, trucks and regular traffic. But the span is only about 4 feet, and the opening height about 2.5 feet. And that's when I ran the hydraulic model to check the sizing. That worked fine for the 50-year storm. So this is kind of the overview sheet. I'm going to go down to the blow-up sheet, which is 20 scale. So that'll show in more detail the house and the intermittent stream crossing.
Janet, hi, this is Stuart Beasley here. I have a question. Good to see you. But is that bridge, so that's a permanent?
Yes.
Okay.
It's very slightly smaller. It would be the permanent bridge to his home.
Okay.
Are there any design standards for that bridge?
That's a good question, because typically we would design a culvert because most people wouldn't be interested in the cost of a bridge. But Jason was interested in that, and I suggested he discuss that with the building inspector because it's not a public road. And
No, but emergency vehicles might have to go over it. Like a fire
correct.
truck
And
or an ambulance.
Right. And so will gravel trucks for his septic system, and potentially concrete trucks for his foundation. I mean, what he has proposed is pretty substantial. He's proposing oak beams that are 12-inch by 12-inch in a cross section, with 2 layers of decking of 2x12s running in opposing directions. And the span is only 4 feet. So at most, only 2 tires would ever be on this bridge at a time.
Mm. And just a question on, because I drove over Pole Bridge on Pole Bridge Road, and that's a wooden bridge. Pretty scary to go over, to be honest with you. But I don't know what standard it was built, but from the records that I've looked at, it had been replaced a couple of times over the years. So I'm just wondering what the life expectancy of wood decking and what would be the abutments for it.
He provided a typical cross section, and he's proposing to use field stones.
Okay, so it's kind of like going back to old times when they used to build stone culverts, or they used to build bridges with field stone and then had wood decking, kind of like the way Pole Bridge is, the bridge over on Pole Bridge Road is built.
That's correct. It's just very small. Like I said, most people, if this was a town road, they would probably have a couple pipes, honestly.
Right. I understand that.
Yeah,
or a box
so from the
culvert.
aesthetics, right, or a box culvert. So just from the aesthetic standpoint,
Yep.
and he was interested in doing this. And Jason, if you have anything you want to add, feel free to speak to the commission.
You have to unmute.
You have to unmute. You're on mute.
Unmute. Hello, Jason Martin here. Using white oak also has a little bit longer expectancy.
So what is the weight load that you expect this bridge to be able to handle?
Should be able to handle any emergency vehicles and the weight load of the cement truck.
And where do you get that information from? What is your basis for that?
Well, it's just looking up the beam load capacities and then basically just way over engineering it with the 1 foot by 1 foot and then the spans.
Okay, so you do have some details on the loading capacities of that wood then.
Yep.
Can you supply that as part of the application?
Sure, I could add something. Yep.
To give a better explanation as to, what the structural capacity of that is, to whatever the support information is that you have for it, because obviously your engineer doesn't have that information for us.
Yep.
And we're only receiving the application tonight, so there's time to get that information in for the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's correct. J&D Site Designs didn't specifically design this bridge. It's something that Jason was interested in doing, and he designed it himself.
So
Which I know it is somewhat unusual, but
Yeah.
he has a vision for the property and plan, like in this area, with plans to build an earth burned house. So it will be very insulated and not use much energy. And the
He's got
septic system design has been approved. Paperwork was submitted.
Yeah,
Let's
Bill
see.
Rowitsky, just have a question, just to get my mind on the locus. Would Ide Perrin Road be to the top of the page? And English Neighborhood
Yes.
Road to the
Mhm.
upper right?
Mhm.
Yes, correct.
It's just
It's
for the,
yes.
okay. Because I see Frank Racasano, was that across the street further to butter? Jason?
I got the abutters list from the assessor's map and
Okay,
pretty much submitted them, so
yeah.
I
There
might
used to
have
be
that
like
information on the first sheet. Let's see if I have
Okay,
it
there
on the
used to be
first
a
sheet.
field across the street, and I don't know if it's still field anymore, but
Yes, there is a little bit of a field.
yeah, Racasano was on the other side of the field, so that's why I was trying to get a
Yeah.
handle on it, so.
So Janet, your evaluation that you did for the hydraulics was based on a 2 foot 6 inch height and a 15-foot span?
Well, the span is only 4 feet, so 4 feet wide, 2.5 feet high. So that would be the
Okay.
cross-sectional area that the water would see. The 15 feet.
Oh, I see. I'm
is-
reading it wrong. I'm sorry. I'm reading his drawing wrong. I stand
Yeah,
corrected.
So that's what I mean by it being a very, very small span.
Yep. So the opening that you analyzed was 4 feet wide.
4 feet wide, 2.5 feet high.
Gotcha.
And that
Okay.
was able to pass the 50-year storm.
Yep. What do you, Jason, what do you expect the length of service that this bridge will carry? How long do you think it'll be before you need to do something structurally to replace boards, that kind of thing? The decking and that.
Over 20 years.
Okay. I don't have any further questions at this time. I haven't had a chance to really look at the application details. But judging by the alternatives that were looked at, Janet, what were the alternatives that you had for this? I mean, I can see you're trying to minimize your impact to the wetlands. He's trying to gain the best aspect for solar, passive solar, because the house is facing south and the berm is on the north. So I can understand that. And that looks like from the property, that looks like one of the better locations for that. But I need to look at the plans a little more. What were the alternatives that you looked at as far as design for a driveway?
Well, with the house site in the location that's preferred by the owner, I
Mhm.
didn't really explore that many other driveway configurations
Okay.
other than taking a lot of care to cross the stream at its narrowest point. There's other places where he could build his house, but
Uh-huh.
he has a large property and a favorite spot. He has other areas where he envisioned putting orchards and things like that. So given the current house location, I thought this was the best driveway alignment.
Jason, why did you choose that location for the house and not one of the other highland portions of your property?
Well, my idea for the property is to farm the front half and have the house in the back, align with the solar and have the hydrology of the property help grow perennial food crops in layers like food forest as you come down the driveway around the barn and as you hop over that ridge down the driveway in the next valley. Really good fertile soil in there.
So you actually analyzed the soils. I see you had a soil scientist report in your application. Did you have a chance to talk to the soil scientist about the soils that you want to use for the various locations, or was he just mapping the wetlands for you?
He mapped the wetlands for me. I've owned the property. We've been about 3 years plus. So we've really gotten around there a lot. There's some small trails also on the ridges which access the property for forestry management, which we had the forester out there first, kind of looking around, a lot of white oak, and leaving the trail network where it is too on the ridges, and then having the valleys where the crops will be. Seems like a really great layout for us.
Have you looked at the soil types for the places where you want to plant? I mean, because you're setting your house at a certain location because you think other locations are better for growing crops and doing other agricultural activities. Did you assess those areas to see whether or not they are the best areas for you?
Yes, I've been down there with a shovel and pick kind of deal, playing with the ground. Yeah, the back house lot is more like a pine grove, so it's more really acidic soil, a little shallower back there. A little south from the barn, kind of drops down into the valley, and that is more of a, rich, moister loam soil. And then over the ridge, if you head west, in the next little valley there, it's very similar, and then as those valleys go down, they also hit the wetlands and water catchment. So the water flows through those areas in a rainstorm coming from the ridge down through where the crops would be planted. So it makes perfect hydrology for the area too.
So I was looking at the soils maps that they have on the GIS.
Yep.
And I believe they have farmland classifications in there on the town's GIS. If you look at the layers and you look at the state data and the soils map and you click on farmland classification, you'll get an idea of what some of the capacities are of those soils, but it's not showing a whole lot for good agricultural land, but NRCS does have the detailed soils map, well, the soils maps that you see on the GIS, and you can double check to make sure that's the right location that you want to place your house. But I'm going to leave that up to you. That I don't have a problem with the way you placed your house. I just wondered whether or not what you were expecting as being your best soils will be your best soils. But the soil scientist could have advised you on that too. When he came and flagged the wetlands, he could have checked those and told you what kind of soil types they were and whether or not they would be good for growing what crops, whether it was orchards or truck farming or whatever. In any case,
Okay.
John, could we have for the next meeting have the site plans attached, the electronic version?
Yeah.
If Janet could supply those.
Yeah, no, we can get those from J&D.
Yes. Well, I guess I know we do have to wait for next month. Does anybody else on the commission have any comments or?
Not at this time.
Bill, I move to accept application 04-26-01 Brickyard Road, map 5707, block 02, lot 68C by Jason Martin for a new single-family residence with wetlands crossings for a driveway be accepted, and with a request that the site plans be provided in digital format to us for next month's meeting.
Second the motion here, Stuart Peasley.
Okay, we have a motion from Marla Butts, seconded by Stuart Peasley to accept application 04-26-01 for Brickyard Road for Jason Martin, new single-family residence with wetlands crossing for driveway with the request for detailed drawings, engineering drawings to accompany for the next meeting. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? The motion passes. Thank you, Janet, and thank you, Jason.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, now moving on to application 04-26-02, Route 197, map 5128, block 23, lot 03C2. Karen Blakely and Kyle Riendo, Timber Harvest. And probably should just include the next application 0426-03, Route 197, map 5128, block 23, lot 031C for Frederick Chesank, Kyle Riendo Timber Harvest, because they will be using some of the same resources.
Evening, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Greg Riendo. I'm going to be representing Riendo and Sons Logging, Carl Riendo.
Hey, do you have, can you give us basic rundown of what you're proposing?
Absolutely. So basically, these two pieces are going to be harvested at the same time. We signed contracts with both landowners. They're actually family members. So the way that we proposed our map here, you can see that there's two separate landings, one for each property lot. The proposed crossing that we have is only a single-use temporary crossing for our machines to get from one landing on 03C1 to 03C2. So the timber that's going to be harvested on the lot on the left will be utilized with that first star there by the existing road, close to 197 there. It's a dirt road that comes off of the corner there. And then the second star is the other landing where most of the timber harvested off 03C2 will be taken. So none of our machinery is actually going to be hauling logs from one side of the wetlands to the other. It's only going to be utilized for our machines to get across that one section into the other. But basically, it's a select timber harvest. We're going to be doing a select cut for these folks. And the proposed skid trails are basically utilizing like the higher level areas, staying away from the wetlands as far as possible. Like I know that the Inland Wetland Commission has like 100-foot buffer setback for even as of right use. Because this is a timber harvest, we did apply as an as of right activity. all of our boundary lines are marked with paint and pink flagging. So that's all taken care of on the map here. You can see outlined in that thick black line there. I know that my black and white map wasn't the greatest. I do appreciate you, John, giving me that colored map. That makes it a lot easier for you to see where the wetland area is there on the top.
So that green stripe going down the middle, that is just,
That's the state flag wetland, or the state soil sign, soil layer for wetlands.
so there isn't any like brook or stream or anything there?
It's an intermittent stream. Definitely
Okay.
was flowing earlier this month or earlier in April when we took a site walk. Obviously, we had a lot of rain this year, so there was quite a bit of activity of water there. But like I said, we're not crossing that stream other than that one proposed spot to get to the other side. Most of the logging activity is going to be happening on the left-hand side of that wetland area and on the right-hand side of that wetland area. And none of the logs or machinery is going to be traveling across it frequently. The proposed crossing is only for machine access from one piece of property to the other.
So Stuart Peasley here. Are you just using the machine to cross, or are you dragging logs across or carrying logs across?
So our machine's a Timber Pro forwarder. So we don't drag any of our trees. It's all carried over bunks on a machine and spread out with 8 wheels and tracks. But we aren't planning on taking any of our logs across that wetland area. We're going to be harvesting and loading them in each proposed landing for each lot. But there is no dragging, and the proposed crossing is going to be crane mats. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like the mats that are used on gas lines and power line.
Yeah.
Those are the standard practice of best management practices through the state of Connecticut for wetland crossings that won't impede the water flow if it is placed there. It's basically like a temporary bridge, and it supports extremely heavy cranes. So it should be feasible for the proposed crossing that we have. One thing I did fail to mention is that I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, just curious, what would an average load weigh in your 8-wheeler?
So it's roughly a 40-ton machine, but the particular that's loaded.
Okay.
But it'll be crossing it unloaded. So
okay. Okay, so that was my question is it being crossed? What was the load capacities?
Yeah, no, it's not going to be cross-loaded. So the proposed crossing that I have here is just so that we can access 03C2 once we've finished cutting 03C1, or vice versa. Like if we start on 03C2 side, we'll be harvesting that timber and bringing it to the landing proposed on the map below. And then we'll cross that crossing at one point. We might not even have to at the time. It's just safer for us to propose that crossing here instead of trying to work around Route 197 or the existing road that has a stone culvert to get to that other piece of property, because that is a heavily trafficked road. So moving the machinery across that back portion of the lot would just be safer alternative for everybody involved. And because it's only going to be crossed once to get our machines from one side to the other, it's a very temporary crossing.
John, do we have a locus map for this property? I can't seem to find it on the GIS map. I was looking for the topography.
Sure, hang on. Let me turn off the slide.
Oh, I see it. I see it now. Okay, I got it. All right.
So it's just west of Center Street, where Center Street goes in.
It looks like coming from the south. It looks like there could be an intermittent water course that comes from the south, heading north towards Route 197. And you can kind of see it on the topography. Yeah. And it actually looks like it starts on the property to the south. There, if you scroll back down so that if you're looking at near where the 790 contour is, right there, looks like there might be some wet spots there, and it kind of disappears and then it looks like it reforms itself. So
that is correct. There is an intermittent stream there, as I mentioned before, especially in a rainy situation. The more heavily flowed water is closer to Route 197. There's actually a giant culvert that goes into the wetlands that crosses over 197 onto the opposing side of the road.
It looks like it's right here.
Correct.
Oh, I know where that is. Yeah, so there's already an access way coming in, looks like.
Yeah, there's a gate there and a dirt road access that they built many years ago. Though I think Route 197 actually used to go down that when it was a horse path, according to the landowner. It went down that way, and then they changed the trajectory of the road over the time. But this particular piece is just access to his Christmas tree lot in the back. It's a shared piece between families. So even though they're two separate lots, the family had used that road for many years to access that back portion of 03C2.
Yep. So are you planning on using that access way to gain access for the timber harvest?
So we're going to use that road just for truck access in the front of 03C1, where the first landing will be. And then the second landing is going to be in the new driveway that he created for his Christmas tree farm that's further down the road, just because there is a old stone built culvert pipe on that dirt road that's existing, and he didn't want to disturb that road with our machinery. So we're going to be accessing it from that portion where the hand is there on the screen and running alongside his Christmas tree field there for one of our main skid trails to access the timber on both sides of the field.
So how will the timber go out from the property?
It's going to be going, let's see, if I'm looking at it here, we're north to south, I believe.
Yes,
it's going to be, so it's going to be coming from the back portion of the lot, closer to the road there. And we're going to be utilizing that existing sort of like road that he has there that he's built for accessing his Christmas tree farm for the main portion of the timber coming off of this piece. And then on the opposite piece, there is no existing skid roads. However, it had been logged previously, probably like 30 years ago. So we're going to be using some of the older skid trails that go down towards that existing driveway that comes in.
And so that access way that he has for his tree farm, did he get DOT's permission to do that driveway?
Yeah, he told me that he's bonded and he has pulled permits for that.'re also bonded through the state.
Okay, because obviously that would be a concern if it's not a legal access way onto the state's highway. He'd have to have that before he could do any timber harvesting.
Yeah, correct. We're also bonded through the state, and we'll get that approved prior to starting the job to access that particular spot where you're hovering right now.
Yep.
It's all pending approval, obviously. So once we get the approval for the timber harvest, we will go forth with contacting the state and utilizing our bonds to be able to access that point.
Gotcha.
I failed to mention earlier, I am also a licensed supervising forest products harvester here in the state of Connecticut, and so are the other two individuals who will be on the job. We're all supervised forest products harvesters. I didn't mention that prior. I know that I said that I was representing Riendo and Sons Logging, but I am one of the sons of Carl Riendo, so just wanted to make that clear too. I apologize for not mentioning it earlier.
Well, somebody was listed on the application because our form requires a identification of whoever is going to be the harvester and who is the forest practitioner or the supervising, and you're listed there as the supervising forest products harvester.
Correct.
So that's all we needed to have to make the state happy with the forestry stuff. So I don't have a problem with this request. I think it should be approved. I don't know how anybody else feels.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it too.
I move to approve application 04-26-02, Route 197, block 51, map 5128, Block 23, Lot 03, C2 by Karen Blakely and Carl Rindeau for timber
Rindeau.
harvest, as well as application 0426-03, Route 197, map 5128, block 23, lot 03, C1 for Frederick Chesanik and Carl Rindeau.
Riendo. It's fine.
Riendo, for timber harvest, both applications for timber harvest as a use permitted as of right under agriculture.
Second the motion, Stuart Peasley.
Okay, we have motion by Marla Butts, seconded by Stuart Peasley to approve as use permitted as a right under agriculture for application 04-26-02 and application 04-26-03. The details can be found in the recording. Does there anybody have any other comments on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? The motion passes.
Thank you very much, Commission.
Yep, thank you. Okay, on to administrative business. John, do you have anything you want to highlight in your report?
Not particularly. I mean, we had worked obviously with the Flahertys on modifying their request and getting all of their paperwork in place. And apologize for confusion about the format of the request and application form. We are continuing. We have continuing to work on the plan of conservation and development. We have a complete draft that's going to be reviewed by the POCD subcommittee this Thursday evening at 6. Following that, I suspect we will forward it as a formal report of the subcommittee to the Planning and Zoning Commission, who will then begin their review and discussion. And am continuing to work with First Selectman Paquette and the town attorney on the citation ordinance meant to put a little bit more teeth, which by which I mean financial citation for people who are in violation of planning and zoning, wetlands, scenic road, historic preservation. Are those the four? Scenic road, planning and zoning. Yeah, are one of those ordinances or sets of regulations. So that's hopefully progressing to a town meeting at some point.
Are we going to get to see the language on that since it does affect the Wetlands Commission?
Yes.
Agency?
I just forwarded that we had a markup from the town attorney who formatted it into sort of a codified set of regulations rather than sort of a traditional Woodstock ordinance. So I kind of had to retrofit it because we're not codified like in Unicode or anything like that. So I simplified it, sent it back to the first selectman for his review this afternoon. So hopefully, if he's okay with it, then we can start sharing it with our commissions.
Yeah, because I have a number of questions on that because, there is ability for there to be fines assessed, like a citation, but it requires to have a hearing officer. Do we have an idea of who would be the hearing officer for wetlands violations?
It's not really my call who would get appointed as a hearing officer.
That's something I need to talk it out. I think we need to understand. Because one of the problems that I've seen with citations in the past is that the town doesn't have the resources to be able to process them in an appropriate manner that they have to be. Because if somebody challenges a citation, which would be issued by you as the agent, and they appeal it and want to go to a hearing, there has to be a hearing officer, and it's not likely going to be a wetlands member. It's going to be some independent entity. And they need to identify that ahead of time as to how they're going to handle that.
Mhm.
I mean, is it going to come to the Board of Selectmen, somebody on the Board of Selectmen to be the hearing officer?
Mhm.
I mean, that has to be figured out. And then the question is are people going to think that they're going to go ahead and do their violation and then get a little fine and then say, okay, but I get to keep what I want? We need to straighten out how that fine works. What does that fine mean? How does it integrate with civil penalties? If you get a fine, can you then subsequently go for civil penalties? Or are you taken out of that because they paid their fine, so to speak? How that enforcement tool works with other enforcement tools needs to be identified. And I don't know how it's done in planning and zoning, but I'm more concerned about how it would work for wetlands. So I think we need to have some discussions with whoever's orchestrating this, which obviously it's coming from the selectman's office to you. So we need to have a better understanding of how this is going to operate, how it's going to work.
It
I
sure
think.
make things more complicated.
Well, yes and no, how are you going to use it? When are you going to use it? When are you going to
Right.
use, civil penalties and go to court? Or when are you going to use a fine, which is something that's assessed at the town level? And, technically the way the state law reads, for every day a violation exists, you can acquire or you can look for a penalty
Accrue, yeah.
and or a fine. So how you set up your citation demanding a penalty may or may not cut off any future assessments of penalties, meaning a cease and desist order. Just because somebody gets a fine, can you then issue a cease and desist order? Or can they happen at the same time? I think there needs to be discussion between us and perhaps the town's legal counsel to understand how this all operates together with, between the formal enforcement actions that the commission can do, like cease and desist orders, versus a citation. We have it already in our statute. I mean, in the ordinance is already there for a for a penalty, for a citation, excuse me. It's in the authorizing ordinance already. We've never used it, but it's there. It got passed a number of years ago, back, I think, in the 2002, something like that. So they're looking to amend that ordinance. Is that what they're doing for the wetlands agency?
This was, I suppose so. It would wrap the early sections of it, the authorization clauses reference the statutes, the empowering statutes of wetlands zoning and historic districts to empower it.
So that means
we could add a reference to the wetlands ordinance, I suppose.
Well, there is an ordinance already on the books, and whether or not that gets rescinded and a different one gets put in place, that combines all of them instead of just being wetlands, it includes all the others. I think I would like to take a look at what the language is that they have, that they're working with, just to see how it works with, and try to get an understanding of it, because it is a significant tool that could be used or misused or not really have the resources to use it.
Okay. So when we have it available for review, I'm going to put you down as a maybe, Marla. Is that correct?
Definitely. Oh, definitely. There's no doubt about it.
To just to kind of make it more generic, is that we need to have a procedure established to do this, clearly established, because otherwise we could end up losing in court further down the road and it being a big hit on our side, even though we're just trying to do our job.
As soon as it's available for review, we'll share it.
Yeah, and please pass on to the first selectman that we don't want to get it when it's at the last call. We'd like to get it during the process. I mean, I think before they get all the language set in stone and say, this is the language it's going to be, either you take it or you don't. I'd like to see it in a form where it's still malleable, where there could be modifications made, or at least questions asked as to how it's going to operate. I mean, no, some towns have it already. In Woodstock, I was surprised to have an ordinance already in place for that. That's why I'm surprised to hear that it's being changed. So that's all, because it does exist already for wetlands.
Just for my understanding, this is a tool that's really for enforcement of
Yes.
It's essentially, I mean, to oversimplify it, it provides the town with the ability more or less to write tickets for violations like this, rather than issuing a notice of violation and then a cease and desist, and then that basically without such an ordinance. And again, wetlands might be a slightly different story, but planning and zoning, scenic roads, historic district, you would have to essentially take someone to court in order to receive any monetary damages or impose a fine. This would allow essentially fining upfront.
Mhm.
And then with a hearing officer procedure and that sort of thing, sort of an internal appellate court.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's an appellate kind of thing. But
I'll show that.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that it's already in the existing ordinance.
And I mean, it might be simpler. We might be decide that we would just have the new ordinance apply to planning and zoning, scenic roads, and historic preservation if wetlands is relatively comfortable with the ordinance that is already on the books.
Yeah, so if you go to the existing ordinance under section 6, fines for violations, and that is the citation section. The procedure for citations and for violations of inland wetlands regulations, it already exists in the current ordinance, and it's quite detailed and laid out. So it already exists. And that's also it's section 6, 7, and 8 of the current ordinance for wetlands. And that would be found on page 22, starting on page 22 of there you go. You got it.
22 of what?
Of the ordinances of Woodstock. He's got it on the screen. So that is a section that deals with citations and fines.
That's in our regs.
That's in our ordinance.
That's in the current ordinance, town ordinance.
It already exists. We already have that authority. Never used it. It was passed quite some time ago. I think the statute was changed, I think, in the late 90s. I'd have to look it up. I don't remember, but the ordinance would have followed after that.
This was 97.
97. So it's been in place for a long, long time. It just hasn't been used. And part of the reason I figured it wasn't being used is because there was nobody there to be a hearing officer. And you got to have a hearing officer, which means you have to have somebody who is available to the town to do that. And the commissioners can't do it. I mean, the commissioners, the agency members can ask the agent to issue a citation, but we also have to check our regulations to see what our regulations say about what the authorities of the agent is, whether the agent has the authority to issue citations. I don't know what this new wording is that they're coming up with, so
it's not particularly different. It tracks some of this language pretty closely.
Yeah. Anyways, that's why I'd like to see the language of what they're working on and try to get an understanding of why this language that already exists in the ordinance is not adequate.
Yeah, and I think it was not really a matter of finding the wetlands one inadequate, but looking to unify all of sort of the land use practices under a single citation ordinance. But again, it could be split off to exclude wetlands because they're already covered.
Yeah, well, I don't know whether it's adequate at this stage of the game, but it already is there. So, all right. So I look forward to seeing something on that then.
Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, anything else, John? No, for that?
Not on my part.
Okay. Correspondence, any correspondence?
I have no additional correspondence.
Okay, financial report. I don't know that much changed since last time. Anybody submit anything for reimbursement?
I did not. I'm probably not going to. Town doesn't have enough money.
Well, I would encourage you to, just so they realize that there is an expense involved in doing this.
Right.
The reason for is trying to keep our budget, so.
All right, if you insist.
I say that as because when I was teaching, I had a budget, and I didn't use it right away. And come around January, February, money's long gone, so there's nothing to use. So
Yeah.
I have a
try to use
question.
it.
Is there any way that when documents are posted, like the financial one that we just, the report, the financial report, that it could be put in landscape instead of portrait? Because when I try to look at it on my phone, I don't have any way of changing it into the right view. So when it's posted, right now it's posted.
Yeah, the answer is probably the way that this our scanner in the land use office isn't wide enough to scan things the other way. And every time I try to rotate something in PDF and save it as the new rotated version, it reverts. I haven't figured out how to change orientation and save it as a different one. But if you have a PDF tip for me, I'm happy to do that.
I think got to get Adobe Acrobat. The town ought to pay, come up with the money to pay for the subscription so that you have Adobe Acrobat.
Well, we have a full reader editor version. It's essentially
then that should be done before it's posted, so that it goes up posted, like the application that we got.
No, but even in the full version of Acrobat, when I've tried to rotate a scanned document and save it as the new rotated proper version, it doesn't save properly. I've never solved that.
Okay, well, I've got it on my laptop. I've got Adobe Acrobat on my laptop, and every time I download stuff, I have to keep changing the pages and saving it so that when I look at it, it's in the right perspective.
Sure.
Like when we looked at the Jason Martin application, there were some pages in there that were in the wrong.
Yeah.
They weren't organized. They weren't in. They should have been in landscape rather than portrait.
I agree. Dan, you have a suggestion?
Yeah. How I would go about it is there's a whole host of online PDF rotate, merge, PDF tools. You only get like 2 or 3 uses out of each of them, but there's a bunch of them to bounce around, and I would rotate individual pages and then merge all the documents. So like if you had a vertical or a horizontal document, you could rotate it and then combine a PDF in one of these free things. Adobe does all those things. We did have a subscription to that, but I don't know if that was how that wound up.
Yeah, no, that lapsed, and we ended up buying essentially a knockoff, editor that was just a one-time fee.
I've had good luck with the free stuff online, but you get limited uses out of them, so you just kind of have to bounce from one to the other. But there's options to pick pages out and rotate pages and combine and compress.
Yeah, we'll try to get that to stick.
This could be something that Tracy could do too, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
within her skill set to do.
Just beware that sometimes
it is hard to stand on your head and look at things and then turn sideways.
Yeah. But just be aware, sometimes they don't tell you that they're sucking you into a subscription.
Oh God.
It's something you got to pay for, and it's too late by the time you find out sometimes. All right. Any other questions or comments on the budget? Financial report? I think I was probably going to be getting another invoice for legal notice that I haven't gotten yet. So, okay, let's move on from there. draft IWW application forms and frequently asked questions.
So I can give an update on application forms. I've been in contact with DEP. I'm having a meeting with Brian Golombuski next week to talk about what's going to be in the reporting form, as well as various other things. I don't know. He actually was an agent, their first wetlands agent in Thompson. Unbelievable. And now he's a director in DEP. So I'm hoping to be able to get the application forms, at least whatever the information is that's going to be on the new reporting form electronically, to have that incorporated into the application forms. Once I get that information, then I'll be able to come back with that. That's all I have on the application forms. Stay tuned.
Okay. Well, at least that's a little progress then. Butts Road Bridge.
Do you want to?
discussion and
I'm sorry. Do you want
updates.
to have Stu? Do you want to address the
Sure.
FAQs?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
we're making progress. Little by slow, but we're getting there. And I think Marla mentioned that she would like to see it trimmed down. I made as much of an effort as I could to trim it down, and at the moment we'd have to decide if there's more that we can do, what's the value of it as it is. In contrast, you can look, I sent out to John, Grace, and Marla, I sent out a page that shows an example of what AI can do for something like this. And it's one page of just bullet points, but it's not as effective.
Oh,
so is
that what you had sent today? This is the
no,
AI?
that was on the PDF I sent yesterday. It's on the last page of the permitting guide, page 16. But it was just, as a comparison, in contrast, that's what AI can do for us, and it's not that impressive yet. But I think it will get there. But for even all of the topics that we've discussed tonight, if you don't have a lot of experience with these, it's difficult to grasp. I mean, you guys have more experience, and so it's a more advanced kind of understanding. But if we didn't have people on the board on the agency that weren't experienced, it would be much more difficult to process these things. I'll give you an example. I think that it's not clear for people when they file an application, they say, well, I'm applying for a permit. Well, we on the agency don't give permits. We give approvals. So you're filing for an approval with us, unless it's a wetlands agent as of right. But so that kind of, we're educating with these FAQs, and it takes a little bit of effort.
I just didn't understand what you just said about we don't issue permits.
The agency doesn't issue the permit. The land use office issues the permit. We issue the approval after our determination.
Well, technically it is us issuing the permit. They just do the ministerial work of publishing it.
Right, but when somebody comes in, they can't expect a permit. They can only expect an approval.
So they're looking for something with a particular name, and you think when they get it that they get a little cranky about it? Or, I mean, I've been in situations, not here, but I've been in situations where that's happened, and it's simply a matter of semantics. But by the time you get around to telling them with so that they understand, they're halfway to the moon in a rocket ship. So
absolutely, it can be very frustrating for somebody who's in a hurry and all kinds of.
So let me ask John a question then. John, when we approve an application for work in wetlands and watercourses, what do you do as far as notifying the applicant? Do they get an actual document called a permit?
Yes.
Or do they get something from you signed or or does Bill sign it? What's the procedure for?
I sign a letter on behalf of the commission indicating the terms of the approval.
Okay. And that's considered a permit?
Yeah, I think it probably says permit on the top.
Yep. Okay. So like for uses permitted as of right, which are declaratory rulings or jurisdictional rulings, those don't say permit, do they?
It says, I have to check they're on the town computer.
Because they are a different creature. The
Yeah,
uses
no, I
permitted
mean,
as of right, non-regulated uses are different.
it indicates is approved as a use as of right.
Yeah.
It's clear in the subhead. Essentially, we cite the application name, the application number, the date of the meeting, and all the following. As far as it, I don't remember if it may say permit or it just says approved activity as of right.
Okay. All right.
So why that's important is like basically if you were just going into an agency and trying to obtain any kind of a permit, it's a one-on-one transactional experience. Whereas with us, what we have to do is we have to arrive at a determination by consensus. And that's based on knowledge that we're given and that we can make a decision on. So that I think is really important to understand. That process of knowledge and consensus is what we do.
Yeah, but the statute refers to it as a permit. And for work in wetlands and watercourses, it says no regulated activity shall occur upon a wetland or watercourse without a permit. I'm going to pull up the statute.
I mean, to me, that just it's kind of in semantics. It's permit is the physical manifestation of the permission that you guys grant.
Right.
I don't know that anyone's
we can't issue a permit because then we're liable.
We're what?
We're liable. If we
are liable.
You are.
We have always been liable.
But you are. You're defended by the town. Unless you're behaving, arbitrarily and capriciously. You're covered by town liability.
Correct. But we do carry a liability as commissioners to do things in a what is it called? There's a fair justice. I can't remember what the language is.
Due
process and be fair about it. Yeah. So, all right. Well, no sense to get into semantics now, but you just sent out, Stu, you just sent out stuff this past day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't catch it.
No. I didn't expect anything tonight.
Okay.
But I just wanted to keep it moving. It's been too long for me, but I put a lot of time in it over the weekend and wanted to at least get some of the highlights.
So when I was looking through the draft that Grace had done, do you mind if I look through the new draft that you sent and
not at all,
and give you any feedback back? Because I found a few things in the draft that Grace had done, that there were some not quite right statements as to what the statute actually says. So I'm looking at it from that stage, not at this point, is to make sure that the language is in fact correct. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll transmit that to you directly.
Okay.
And to
what
John.
I did with I just went through you had two examples of suggestions that you had, and I found one to be more salient, and so I focused on that one. The other one, the first one was something we've already covered in there, but the second one was really good.
Okay.
And that's in.
If I do it, I'll do it in Redline. Do you understand how to Redline works in Word?
Yeah.
Okay. That's how I'll do it for you.
So you should have the Redline or the Word version that Stu sent later this afternoon.
Yeah, it looks like it is. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
I had technical issues with the computer. If you have any problem, I can resend it, whatever.
Nope, it came up. I
Okay.
pulled it up. It comes up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good to have because one of the things that I sent on the permitting guide was even if we don't involve ourselves with a permitting guide, but I guess it's page 15 has the map diagrams and some cross sections of a revetment and a couple of lakeside walls, just generic. And we wouldn't want to, we just want to be able to show people, hey, give us here's a plan view of the site, of the plot, of, this is what you can generate even by hand sketch. But I want to see a north arrow, and maybe some dimensions. And then, here's an example of some sketch details. Like with the Flaherty's, we know that we've got a really steep slope situation. And it would be good to be able to have people generate that information. So that consists of the knowledge that I'm referring to, the knowledge and consensus. When we have the proper knowledge, we can make a good consensus. In my view, that's what I'm trying to achieve. Or make clear.
Sounds good to me.
Well, even tonight, even like the logging operation, it's like, it's important when we look at just these big site plans. For me, that was a eye opener when he said that he's got a piece of equipment that's going to weigh 40 tons. That's a lot.
But capable of hauling that much. I think it's probably not. Yeah.
But it gives us a different scale of what we have to calculate when we're looking at this and talking about it. We have to be thinking of a 40-ton piece of equipment that could be going through or near a wetlands, and what does that I forget what the cross mapping, what is that the cross bed that is an underlayment that they use with a crane. So that
the
mat, sorry.
Yeah.
But just to have we got to have a perspective on all that because it's critical. If we don't, well, we're just saying, they're going to be dragging logs, or 40 tons is a lot.
It is, yeah.
So, Stu, I'm going to send to you something I've already sent to both Bill and to John about water courses.
Okay, great.
So two of the things that I think should be included, like on your frequently asked questions, like why aren't the soil delineations provided on the Woodstock GIS good enough for me to use in a wetlands watercourse permit application? And why does a soil scientist have to flag the wetlands on the property? So I've got 2 paragraphs on that. And then the other one is, what's the difference between land classified as wetlands and land classified as a watercourse? And then I've got an explanation about that. So I'll send that to you so you can see if you want to incorporate that into your frequently asked questions.
I think it's, I guess, what do you feel like we should do? Should we try to keep it to 1 page, 2 pages? 1 page is going to be tough, I think.
Yeah.
I don't
think you can do that. But I think it's also important, though, Stu, to get to, I mean, I was just about to say, don't I deserve a copy too? Because there may be something that some of us that have different perspectives that aren't wetlands agents or soil scientists or whatever, that look at something and say, well, that doesn't seem right to me. Why is it right? And sometimes you can really pull up some great information that way.
Sure. Yeah, we can send it along.
And
I think,
I think it's in an FAQ. I don't know that length matters that much because I mean people are going to look for their question, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then at most it'll be a 2-paragraph response to that question, and it's like a table of contents. You just look through and find your answer. And so I don't think you need to be stressed about getting it onto 1 page or even 2 pages.
okay.
Let's just answer the questions and just make
Yeah,
it
if it
clear
gets
how to
to
find.
43, then we need to worry.
Well, I looked at 3 other towns. And the first one that came up, and that actually was the first one that came up with the AI request, was the town of Greenwich.
Ooh.
And the reason I went to the town of Greenwich because they've got the resources to put into it.
Mhm.
But the other 2 that came up were Exeter and Andover. And Andover,
Exeter?
Oh,
yeah,
Rhode
Where's
Island?
Exeter? There's no
Exeter.
Exeter.
yeah, it's down on the Thames River.
Exit. No, you're talking about Essex.
Essex. Oh, sorry. Where is Exeter? There is an Exeter somewhere.
Not
Is
in
that
Connecticut.
Massachusetts, I think.
Massachusetts? Okay.
Might be Rhode Island too.
It's been a long day. Anyway, Essex. Yeah, thank you. And I heard today that Essex has all got a 250-year birthday this year as well. And they've got the oldest inn in the state of Connecticut.
Oh, the Grizz. That's the 250th of the Griswold Inn, but not the town.
Griswold, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Andover has a FAQ that's 6 pages long. So
Fine.
that's what I wanted to bring up, and that I didn't spend any time looking at that because it was just I didn't have the time, but I thought it was interesting.
Because
So
look
I
at
would
it, AI could pick up your frequently asked questions and use it. So you want to make sure that the information that you got on your frequently asked questions is in fact correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I will I'll look forward to getting the feedback and seeing what we can develop. But I think we're making progress.
You're going to send it to Grace and Kathy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Definitely. I've learned a lot putting it together.
You're not done.
Yeah.
Best way to learn a subject is to teach it.
That's right. You teach best what you most need to learn.
Mhm.
Chairman.
Okay, shall we go on to Butts Road Bridge discussion and updates then? Marla, would you like to talk about our meeting and what was brought up and what's in
Well,
progress?
let's see. Let me hold on a second. Okay, got my paperwork on it. Yeah, so Bill and I, after our last meeting last month, I asked for a meeting with Chandler regarding the status of the application, the plans, and the decisions that we made regarding providing additional information before they start work. And from that, Bill and I sat down. I can't remember exactly what day it was. It was about a week or so after the last month's meeting. I think it was a week later. And I had gone through the plans because now I had some time. Remember, we didn't have very long period of time to review the drawings when we had to make a decision. So I actually went through the plans. I printed off screenshots or visions of the areas that I wanted to look at. Mostly the plan sheets was sheet 6 and sheet 10. And so I had 4 pages of comments that I had on the plans, just the plan sheets that I had concerns about. And the issue of the sewer line, John, I believe it's John Chimikowski. Bill, is he on the Water Pollution Control Authority?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the chairman.
Okay, so he had asked for time to be given. Originally, we thought a full meeting would be good to have all the parties involved. But then John indicated that they had a engineer that they were hiring. The Water Pollution Control Authority was hiring to actually look at the design of the permanent line. And so Chandler originally was going to set up a meeting, but then said, no, we're going to hold off until they get more information from the the Water Pollution Control Authority's engineer to find out what changes they need to make. In the meantime, the comments that I had, which were basically about the problems that I saw with the site plans, he forwarded that to Pete Parent, who is working to add stuff into the plans. So right now it's kind of like on hold, waiting for the Water Pollution Control Authority's engineer to come back with comments about the design, the permanent design. And after that, I presume, I don't know if it's going to have another meeting or whether the town will present some revised sequence of construction, water handling plan, detailed water handling plan, and temporary sewer relocation information. I don't know exactly where it is, other than it's on hold at this point in time. So they have my comments of what I saw was wrong with the drawings. And obviously, if they submit revised sequence of construction and water handling plan and temporary sewer relocation, I'm going to be looking at them and seeing what kinds of things they incorporated in to fix the concerns I raised. And we'll see where it goes from there. They may have good reasons for not making certain changes, and they can explain it at that time. So we'll see. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know how long it's going to take for the engineer for the Water Pollution Control Authority to go through evaluating the design that they had. Do you have any information, Bill, on that?
Yes, there's actually email that came through just around noontime today that maybe you haven't seen yet. It's got a report there, a 3-page report of peer review. I haven't looked at it enough to digest it. Looks like they're not happy with that big manhole drop there. There's several different things. There's things that they think that should be relabeled. There's other things. There's a lot of it.
Yeah, it's from So Marla, you're copied on this as it was 11:55 this morning.
Oh, this is from you, John?
No, from John Chimichowski.
Oh, that's from John Chimikowski.
And
I see it.
He
Yep.
included a review summary from Design Professionals, which is the town's review engineer.
Gotcha. I do have it.
Actually, no, it's DPC. Is DPC the same as Design Professionals?
I don't know. That's what he says.
No, this is DPC
Long Meadow
Engineering. No,
does.
it's different. It's not Design Professionals. It's DPC Engineering out of Long Meadow. So yeah, at any rate, there's a third-party engineer review.
So at this point, I don't know where we're going to stand with that, whether we need to have our big meeting and hash out what needs to be changed.
Well, I would expect, Bill, that they will come back with whatever modifications. They know they have to change the sequence of construction. That's clear.
Yeah.
And they know that some of the there are a few problems with the water handling plan about whether or not they're going to go with a diversion pipe here and then move it inside the box culvert, or they're going to move the diversion pipe way outside of the wing walls, so they don't have to relocate the diversion pipe. That's all something that they can come back with. And they don't have to wait. We don't have to wait for the sewer design, the final design to be through, because that's really not our jurisdiction. The actual design of the sewer line. Ours would be for the temporary work to relocate it around and the work that they have to do to get it around during construction. And that's simple. I mean, by comparison.
And that's one of the general comments. There's coordinate temporary bypass pumping system force main location with inland wetlands conservation commission. So that's something that they didn't comment on. So that's going to be up to us to
Mm-hmm.
work that out. And that sheet 10, they said two different times on there that the sequence of construction was up to the contractor.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to have that demolition with no water going through, we're probably just going to have to make that demand.
The thing is that if you put it in the contract the way they have, these plans were written up similar to the way some DOT plans used to be written up, Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
And that was to leaving things up to the contractor was not always the best way. They think, oh, the contractor will come out with a cheaper way to do something, but a lot of times they found out that it caused more problems. So that having the plans more detailed as to, how you're going to do things left things less subject to problems later on. Of course, it also can result in change orders too, which can be costly. I don't know. I'm not satisfied with leaving everything up to the contractor. And if that's the intention, then you don't know what you're going to get. That means anytime the contractor changes what he's doing, he's going to have to come back to the wetlands agency to say, I'm changing this, I'm changing that. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yep.
So they should set it up as to how they want it. And then if the contractor wants to change it, then the contractor has to ask for it to be changed. And it doesn't necessarily cost the town more money for them to change it. It just means that the town then comes back to the agency and says, look, we got to change this.
Well, it's part of the original contract between the owner and the contractor.
Right.
Owner being the town.
The town owns the permit, not the contractor. But the contractor has to follow the permit. Or it's an issue of a contract violation between the town and the contractor. Where does the Wetlands Commission stand if the contractor goes and does something that's not authorized under the permit, the wetlands permit, and the Wetlands Commission agency says, no, that's not authorized. You're not doing that right. Who does the agency go after? It certainly can go after the contractor for doing work for which there was no authorization, but it also could go after the town, and we don't want to go after our own town.
It depends on the construction documents.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And these site plans, these plans leave it a lot up to the contractor to decide what he wants to do.
And that's where the wetlands could come in and say, specifically to the engineer, this is what type of project we're working on. These are the standards we want. The level of detail is really important for us to avoid change orders.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. The way they've set it up now, the contractor can come in with a different sequence of construction.
Yeah.
And then the question is how does that get approved? Does that would have to come to the agency?
And then it depends on what the budget is, what the budget allows for that construction document package. Because if, we're going to be in a tight budget just for construction, but that's also going to be part of the consulting fees for producing the drawings. And so, of course, they're going to be trying to cut. And that's where the problem is, because when they cut, then there's enough quality in the process. And that's where the change orders come back to haunt you. That's invariably what happens.
When they did Gravelly Brook on County Road, it wasn't left up to the contractor. The sequence of construction wasn't left up to the contractor. The water handling plan was put on the plans. And that was what the contractor followed to do. I mean, these look more like DOT plans for Butts Road Bridge. By the way, John, when I understood that there was another bridge that they're planning coming in next year with, on another, I can't remember which one Bill, remember he said what road it was? Bridge?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. At some point, the Roseland Park on the bottom of Child Hill Road will be in there, but there was like five bridges in the package that they were looking at. And,
Yeah.
It would
don't
be, it
remember
would
the
be
other one.
helpful, it would be helpful if the town, before they finalize the drawings, like these were seen to be finalized, if they could submit them for a preliminary review by the agency,
Mhm.
so we can give them the feedback before they actually file the application. So if they're at the stage now where they've got some, pretty well-formed plans, but still in draft form, if they could ask us to review them and give comment on them, that might be helpful to avoid this kind of situation in the
Absolutely.
future.
Sure. Makes sense. Yeah, no, I know the DOT actually was in Chandler's office earlier this afternoon. I wasn't asked to participate in that meeting, but I'll follow up with Chan to find out exactly what bridges they're dealing with.
Is DOT doing the design for those bridges?
Yeah, I believe this is one of the federal local bridges that the state is doing a state-led design.
Okay.
In that way, because normally the federal local, it's an 80%, 20% federal, and the town pays 20%, but the DOT did a state design project where the state will pick up the remaining 20%. So the town in theory gets a free bridge, but has not as much control over design and stuff like that.
But the licensing goes through the agency though, right? The wetlands
Yeah,
agency? It
yes.
doesn't go through the state.
Correct. It's local. Yeah, it's a local bridge. It's a local bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, so before DOT finalizes all its
Yeah.
designs, maybe getting a
Mhm.
preliminary look, like at the 60% design stage. That's what they used to do that.
Yeah.
For their big projects. Bring them
Yeah.
in.
No, I'll see what I can get from the selectman's office.
Yeah.
So at some point, I'm expecting there to be some sort of a potential meeting that we can nail down some of the final details on this.
Well, if they come up with revised plans, whatever they are, a revised sequence, because they'll have to change sheet, I think, what is it, 6 and 10? Those were the two sheets that seem to have the most impact for the wetlands agency.
Yeah, 10 for sure.
Yeah.
But
I don't know whether, I don't know. It's up to them. They're the applicant. The town's the applicant, so they can decide how they want to handle it.
Yep. All right, so stay tuned. There's probably more coming for this.
I have some information before you get to citizens' comments.
Yep.
Got an email. I contacted Diane Ivkovic about the FEMA maps, because the last time I had contacted her was last year, and that's when they thought we were going to get them in April of this year. And then I heard that when I contacted her, she said first that the preliminary maps we were supposed to get on April 8th was going to be put off, probably to the fall. And then she sent me a follow-up. She goes, on April 29th, she sent me an email that said, hot off the presses from FEMA, you might be getting preliminary maps on June 16th, 2026. Keep your fingers crossed. So those that would have the new hydraulics studies, flood studies. Just for FYI, we might see something by next month. Well, July.
Fingers
maybe.
crossed.
Yep.
They were promised many years ago.
Yes.
Well, fortunately,
So
it's not like the climate is changing and these things are already out of date.
Mm.
They're changing, just not fast enough. I'm going to bring up Quarry Road again. Is there any update on that?
And I have no additional update. The selectman and I haven't gotten our schedules together to go out and make a visit.
Okay, so then we'll move on to citizens' comments. I don't believe we have anybody here. Is there anybody that would like to make a comment? No, does anybody have any further business that they would like to discuss? No comments?
Oh, I have one question. Could we have Tracy send out an email that contains a file that has the updated contact information for all the commission members? Because we now have Grace on. And I don't think she's on the existing list that we have. Did we get a new contact list when Grace joined?
I don't recall. I'll ask Tracy to follow up.
Yeah, because I wanted to get in touch with Grace. I wanted to have a chance to talk with her outside of a meeting, just to explain how, some of the things that I talk about, not about particular sites. No, but just to explain how things operate, how they can, how we process things, and what the law is, and what it says, and how it's changed over time, and that kind of thing. But I don't think I have her contact information. I think so. Grace, I will get in touch with you to set up some time.
I'll send you information.
Okay.
So the dates of meetings for 2026 are also updated on the website. I had requested Tracy run that down, so that should be all the date now too. Is there any other business? Well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then.
I
Make
move
a motion that we adjourn this lovely meeting of May 4th.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Kathy Barrick, second by Marla Butts. I guess she got further first to adjourn. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstained? The motion passes at 8:57 p.m.